Welcome to the CPM Customer Success Podcast, where we help Office of Finance leaders enable an exact solution to enhance their corporate performance without spending countless nights and weekends in the office. Hi, I'm your host, Andy Smetana from Nova Advisory. Nova Advisory is a 100% OneStream professional services diamond implementation partner. We help OneStream customers and prospective OneStream customers get the most out of their OneStream investments. For CPM Customer Success listeners, we now have a weekly email newsletter to keep you informed on the latest CPM Customer Success news. By subscribing today, we'll keep you informed on episode releases, including customer success stories, OneStream interviews, and capabilities to keep you up to date about OneStream's unified platform for finance. You can check that out now at Nova Advisory's website, novaadvisory.com/podcast, and subscribe to the CPM Customer Success podcast newsletter today. Today we're exploring how companies in the distribution industry are modernizing their finance operations. We'll discuss the unique financial challenges in wholesale and industrial distribution and hear two real-world CPM customer success stories of how a unified finance platform has helped these organizations overcome those challenges. Think about what it takes to move products from manufacturers to customers efficiently and profitably. You've got multiple warehouses, you've got thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of SKUs to deal with, dynamic pricing environments, thin margins, intercompany inventory transfers, and constant pressure on working capital. For finance teams, this translates into a specific and often underestimated set of challenges. Many distribution companies grow through acquisitions or regional expansion. Over time, they accumulate multiple ERP systems, separate inventory tools, legacy consolidation platforms, and countless Excel models built to bridge the gaps. Consolidating financials from different warehouses, regions, or acquired subsidiaries can feel like assembling a moving puzzle each month. Each entity might operate on slightly different charts of accounts. Currency translation may be handled outside the system. Intercompany balances often require manual reconciliations. Finance becomes the central clearinghouse for data cleanup. Instead of analyzing performance, the team spends time aligning systems that were never designed to work together. In many distribution organizations, the monthly close still relies heavily on spreadsheets. Entities extract trial balances from local systems, they email them to corporate, and corporate manually uploads or maps the data into a consolidations model. Intercompany mismatches are identified late. Adjustments are posted manually. Reports are validated across versions of spreadsheets. It's not uncommon for close cycles to stretch into double-digit days, and by the time leadership reviews the numbers, operational conditions have already shifted. When margins are tight and pricing decisions need to move quickly, a slow close limits strategic agility. Distribution finance leaders don't just need total revenue and expense. They need clarity into margin by SKU, margin by customer, margin by region, inventory turns, freight and fulfillment costs. Systems often struggle to provide that level of detail promptly. Consolidation tools may summarize data too early. Separate planning tools may not align to actuals. Spreadsheet-based reporting creates version control issues, and as a result, finance can report on what happened, but struggle to explain why it happened. Questions like, which product categories are compressing margins this quarter? Those become multi-day exercises instead of immediate answers. Distribution operates in a constantly shifting environment. Customers demand change quickly. Freight costs fluctuate. Supplier pricing moves. Acquisitions introduce new systems and new reporting requirements. Finance teams must reforecast frequently and model scenarios such as, what happens if shipping costs increase by 8% next quarter? If actuals, budgets, and forecasts live in different systems, or worse, in disconnected spreadsheets, responding quickly becomes nearly impossible. Each of our CPM customer success stories today highlights a different distribution scenario. One focuses on speed and consolidation modernization, and another on global complexity and operational visibility. So our first CPM customer success story for this week centers on a large wholesale apparel distributor. We'll call them Summit Apparel Distribution. Summit supplies blank garments and accessories to screen printers, promotional product companies, and embroidery businesses across North America. From an operational standpoint, their model was strong. They had scale, strong supplier relationships, and a broad product catalog. From a finance standpoint, however, the environment was strained. Summit's consolidation process was heavily dependent on Excel. Trial balances were exported from multiple systems, and they were manually mapped into spreadsheets. Intercompany eliminations were calculated offline, and their planning and reporting were maintained in separate files. The process worked, but only with intense manual oversight. And as the company grew, the pressure increased. The close cycle stretched into weeks. Data validation required multiple rounds of reviews. Leadership meetings often started with debates about which versions of the numbers was correct. Summit recognized that incremental fixes would not solve the issue, and they set an aggressive timeline. Typical transformations of this scale can take 6 to 12 months, but Summit targeted 3 months. With Nova Advisory's help, and within a single quarter, they implemented OneStream, which automated their ERP data integrations, intercompany eliminations, validation rules, workflow management, and consolidated financial reporting. Their monthly close process dropped from several weeks to just days. Manual errors declined significantly. Intercompany discrepancies were flagged automatically rather than discovered during late-night reconciliations. Planning and forecasting were integrated directly within their actuals, which eliminated version control issues. And most importantly, their finance teams shifted their focus. Instead of spending time assembling numbers, they began analyzing trends, evaluating SKU level profitability, reviewing freight cost impacts, and supporting pricing decisions. There was a transformation from reactive reporting to proactive financial leadership. So for our second CPM customer success story for this week, a multinational industrial distributor. We'll call them Sky High Industrial Supply. This organization manages hundreds of thousands of SKUs across multiple continents. They operate dozens of legal entities in multiple countries, serving aerospace, manufacturing, and specialty industrial customers. Over time, growth through acquisition had created a patchwork of ERP systems. Each region maintained its own financial processes. Consolidations required manual data extraction, currency translation adjustments, and spreadsheet-based reconciliations. Intercompany balances between regions often required manual plug entries to force alignment. Sky High's CFO lacked full confidence in the consolidated balance sheet due to recurring translation discrepancies and elimination timing differences. Leadership needed deeper insights into margin performance by customer region, but the existing system architecture limited their ability for reporting flexibility. To address this, Sky High implemented OneStream to serve as a single source of truth across all their entities. The project focused on standardizing their chart of accounts, automating currency translation logic, enabling built-in intercompany matching and eliminations, centralizing reporting hierarchies, and integrating account reconciliations into their close process. The transition required collaboration between finance and implementation experts, but within months, the results were clear. Monthly consolidation ran with minimal manual intervention. Currency translation discrepancies were eliminated. The balance sheet reconciled cleanly across regions. Intercompany mismatches were identified early in the workflow. Leadership gained the ability to drill from consolidated EBITDA into regional performance, customer profitability, and SKU level margins, all within one platform. Finance meetings shifted from data validation exercises into strategic discussions. The CFO no longer questioned whether the numbers were accurate. Instead, discussions centered on growth strategy, pricing adjustments, and capital allocation. Additionally, the finance team regained morale, which is equally as important. Analysts and accountants were no longer trapped in reconciliation cycles. They could focus on forward-looking analysis, evaluating expansion opportunities, modeling freight volatility, and supporting commercial decision-making. A unified CPM platform can drive strategic change for finance teams and the distribution industry. If you're like our CPM customer success examples from today, and you're a high-volume distributor looking to modernize a spreadsheet-driven close and break down data silos, by automating manual work, it will free up your finance and accounting teams to focus on strategic value. Distribution is inherently complex. Margins are tight, working capital matters, operational conditions shift quickly, and for CFOs and FP&A leaders in distribution, the takeaway is this. You can reduce close timelines even with multiple ERPs. You can standardize reporting across acquired entities. And you can gain SKU level and customer level visibility without relying on disconnected spreadsheets. You can establish a true single source of truth for your actuals, budgets, and forecasts, even if your company has grown through decades of expansion. Thanks for joining us for this episode of CPM Customer Success. Reminder to check out the CPM Customer Success weekly email newsletter to stay informed of the latest CPM Customer Success episodes and OneStream news. You can check that out now at the Nova Advisory website, novaadvisory.com/podcast, and subscribe to the CPM Customer Success podcast email newsletter today. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week for another episode of CPM Customer Success.